Good evening. It's been a while. It's been a fair old while for the EPL panel show at American Scouser TV, and we are joined by the boys. It's a fantastic crew, and it's good that we're all back here to for the eve of the start of the new Premier League season. Transfer scandals abound. Players moved here, there, and everywhere. Players wanting to move here, there, and everywhere, and controversially not being allowed to. And then players being moved to Al Hilal because they couldn't hit snow off a rope. That's looking at you, Darwin Nunes. But I just thought my cat was trying to escape in here. So we're joined by Sully Shea and champions of the world, JW, and quite rightly as well, actually. I have to say, there's a kid I used to coach who works in a local store. I was happy to see him have a smile on his face. He's like 20 something now. He's a fantastic player when he was a kid. But it's a new season. As the old saying goes, you don't get any medals for what you did last year, especially not of your Spurs. And we are going to do what everybody likes to do. We are going to do a preview of the season, what we think is going to happen. Sully, how are you?
I don't want to talk about it.
Shay, how are you? Looking forward to the season.
Yep. Here we go. Another year. See what happens.
Another year. JW, how are you, man? Looking all studious and ready for the season. Because I have to say, Chelsea look like they're going to take a step forward. This like just in the pre-seasons alone. But it looks like it's going to be an interesting year for everybody. And we're going to see who's going to take a dive down and I'm not talking about Arsenal here. But here is what we've got for tonight. It's a very, very, very simple thing. We're just going to talk about what you think the Premier League top 5 will be. What order you put them in is up to you. You can do no order as well. Who you think the surprise team will be, the biggest flop, who will be in the relegation zones, the top scorer, and your own team's fortunes. But before we get to all of that fantastic action, we still at the American Scouser TV section are still kind of raising money for the 24-hour podathon, where the absolute lunatics, Tamuchin, Galley, and Bickler spent an entire 24 hours fast awake at Carragher's in New York to raise money for the 23 Foundation. And we still have a silent auction and a GoFundMe. There's some good stuff around. Anybody who's a Liverpool fan or a collector of memorabilia could bid on there. If you just want to help out a charity that does a lot of good in Liverpool, or it doesn't really matter where. It's always good to help those who need the help. And there is a nice little QR code. If you're watching and you want to find out more, you can scan that. I'll leave that up for like 5 seconds or 15 seconds for middle-aged people like me who can't remember what the QR code button on their phone is. And never get it done properly. But let's go back to the questions. So let's talk about the transfer stuff, because I know Sully really wants to talk about the transfer stuff. It's been an adventure. Liverpool have made some great signings so far and looking to add more. And the kind of machinations of how transfer deals go now almost being played out with the media being almost a tool of negotiation as much as the contract talk. But Sully, what is your perspective so far? Because I'm sure you have an interesting one, especially for me.
As the stuff about Isak was all coming out at the beginning of the summer, I decided I was going to stick my head in the sand and enjoy my summer and not pay attention a ton to all the bullshit that's happening at St. James's right now. This is, I think, much worse than any of you guys realize. I think this could be the death knell for Eddie Howe, and Eddie Howe saying, I want to leave. The club has given him zero support. We still have several upper management positions that have not been filled in our club that is preventing us from being more effective in the transfer window. Isak has just been... I want to believe this is Isak getting bad advice, but part of me never wants to see him again. Part of me wants to see him sit on the bench the entire season and then tell him to fuck off till next year. I am so done with this. Like, you want to, I was at the highest I've ever been when we won that Carabao Cup. That was the pinnacle of my existence. And since then, it has just been a backslide into what feels like a Diet Mike Ashley type club. This summer is killing me. We just signed this kid from AC Milan, um, a homegrown Newcastle player. This kid is from Newcastle. I find his name now. Malik Tiwa. Um, so signed him as a center back, but we haven't reinforced anything. I think something else that's going to kill us this season is not, as crazy as it sounds, is not having Sean Longstaff. Longstaff is a homegrown Newcastle player. He's a fan favorite. He's somebody who's always had a good head on his shoulders. I think losing him is going to be a killer, and taking a player like that out of a dressing room and then leaving a player like Isak, I think that's just cancerous for the team. It's been a long time since I've been this down on Newcastle. Like, I'm always, as a Newcastle fan, I'm always kind of down, but this is like a special type of down. This is near rock bottom for us right now.
And it's almost, though, when you think about it, this is like the modern transfer era now, really, isn't it? I think there's a ruling that happened that may affect transfers there, happened today or yesterday. It feels like we're coming to another Bosman kind of era, doesn't it, Shay? It's almost like something's going to happen, and then they're going to have to change the way contracts and transfers are done, because it will be literally like an at-will state then. Just say, well, it didn't score this week, so I'll go to Manchester for a few weeks and see if what happens there. Now, I think every club can point to a situation, where a player has been won away and has kind of, you felt that they weren't given their best or have outright thrown a strop to get their way. We had it with Torres a little bit. We had a little bit with Suarez as well with Barcelona. And in the opposite direction, right now Liverpool are having it with Isak, but we also had it with Van Dijk and at Southampton as well. This is the modern way, isn't it? There's kind of no honor among thieves, so to speak, and when there's that amount of money involved, players have the power and going to want to get away, but clubs have a right to get.
They have the power, but like Kyle Sully said too, I think it's bad advice. The agents, I think, have changed the game. I think Jorge Mendes is what started this. Truly, they kind of Americanized in the sense of, hey, we're gonna, put our player out there, and if you don't like it, too bad, we'll sulk. And then the teams are kind of held hostage. And I brought this up. The last couple of years we've been making this, like, cup players. Like, it sucks, but if they don't want to do their job, we all get fired if we don't show up to work. Like, they just sit there, they collect their money, nothing. Like, I feel like what they should do is, if it's in the contract you refuse to play because you want to leave and you want to throw a temper tantrum, cool. They're going to start garnishing your wages, and you either have to pay it back on the next contract or you just take the money and leave, kind of thing. But I don't know if they'll ever do that, because the clubs probably won't know how to truly navigate through that.
Back to what you were saying with, some of the players that Liverpool has had this with. Yes, you guys are the champions, you're the Premier League champs, but we're still in Champions League. Like, I could understand Isak throwing a fit if we were, not in a European spot, but he's going to be playing on the biggest stage. If he stays, this team has an actual kind of we kind of have a chance. But this is just, it's disgraceful. It is absolutely disgraceful. And Suarez to Barcelona, at least you guys sold him out of the Premier League. Like, we don't want to help the rich get richer. Like, it's the whole thing is just absolutely killing me. It's slowly taking my sanity. Maka, by the end of this, I'm gonna look like you, man. Like, this.
Yeah, you don't want that. I feel bad. I feel bad for you if that's what ends up at the end of the night. But let me ask one more thing before we go to Jay. Is just as a Newcastle, look, do you have a feeling? I think Shay's right. I think agents giving terrible, it's not terrible advice for them, because they pocket the money one way or the other, but terrible advice for their players. And definitely that has a hint of Americanization about, but also Jorge Mendes, whatever his name is, and his machinations. But do you get a hint that maybe Isak is so intent on going to Liverpool, despite, as you say, the fact that Newcastle are contenders? There's a thing to build there, that maybe things behind the scenes aren't as convincing to the players as if Klopp was there at Liverpool still. It's Jurgen Klopp. He does a miracle and amazing things with Liverpool, and built the team up from an 8th place team to a Champions League winning team. Slot walks in and wins the league in his 4th season and looks like nothing had ever changed at all. And then he looks at Eddie Howe and Tyndall and then goes, it's not quite the same level. That is not quite the same level.
I think it's the upper management. I think that's the issue. I think Howe is on par with any manager in the Prem right now, without question. And talking about the Americanization of this feels like Kevin Durant leaving the Thunder to go to Golden State, which was one of the softest moves in American sports history. All right, that was marshmallow level trade and free agency right there. It drives me nuts. You signed the contract, you play the contract. You're going to a team that's playing the Premier League on easy mode. Why do you want that? Why don't you want to be embraced as one of these guys who brought Newcastle back to relevancy, rather than just being another Liverpool player? Isak is good, but he's never going to be a club legend at Liverpool that he could be at Newcastle United.
Yeah, there's no way he's being Paul Konchesky. That's just not happening. The very few players get to that distinction. Jay, tell me your opinions on the transfer market so far this season, especially relevant to yourself. Happy enough?
Happy enough. On the Newcastle piece, I definitely feel for you, Solly, but I also understand why Isak's head potentially is turned. I mean, you're like, Newcastle's not going to do anything in the Champions League, and you're looking at Liverpool, who've got to the latter stages year after year. Like, you're going to be contending for titles year after year, assuming nothing's really changing. You're also looking at Chelsea's getting better. United's probably, you'd think, are getting better. Newcastle's level of investment, based on what you spoke about earlier, like that your time kind of fighting for Champions League places and without too much changing is probably going to be over in the next 2-3 years. So he probably seeing the writing on the wall. It's a shame, because I think he's a great player, and he has a contract. I'd love to see him see it out, or at least let the club benefit, and he seems to be doing all the wrong things. Wouldn't mind it with Chelsea, but we've done some really good business. It seems like we have strengthened in a few areas with young players. ASTV looks incredibly exciting. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't start probably a month into the season. João Pedro seems to be a different João Pedro to what everyone recognizes at Watford and Brighton, which is awesome as well. And I didn't see much of Gittins. He looks pretty exciting too. So I think Chelsea have strengthened in all the right areas. We've done a lot of business getting players out the door. Like, we got Dewsbury Hall, Uguchukwu, like Broja. We're getting serious cash for all these players that didn't work out. I think that's starting to make more sense. I think we'll be strong this year. And I don't know whether the Club World Cup or hampering our preseason is going to be beneficial or harm our campaign. I think we'll probably have to wait until later on in the season to see that. But I think in terms of business, we've done really well. We've strengthened, I think, if you look at our squad and even our starting 11, minus the goalkeeper, on a player-by-player basis, we're probably one of the strongest in the league. And assuming we can keep some momentum coming out of the Club World Cup, I think we're in line to do pretty well. Doesn't look like we're going to go after a goalkeeper, even though Donnarumma apparently is available. He's a bit of a prick anyway, so I don't think I'd really want him. But I wouldn't want anyone else who's available either. It's quite tricky. There's no one who's really actually good who you'd want. But overall, good business for Chelsea, and we're starting to come into our own. So it's an optimistic season.
And then, it seems like I think we talked last season about Maresca and all that, but winning the Club World Cup, it gives him a lot of breathing room now, doesn't it? It gives him a bit more security. So players that are like being courted aren't looking, well, this guy's going to be out by Christmas. He's probably going to get the full season. As long as you're up around the top 4 places, the Champions League places, that's another bit of solidity in a very unsolid profession. Do you think?
I agree. It's all, when you look at the running or the start as well, we've actually got even though we've got 4 London derbies to start, they are 4 very winnable games. I think Liverpool, Arsenal, United have all got fairly tough starts with a couple of games here and there that are challenging. I think momentum is a huge thing. I think Palmer can be Cole Palmer the Club World Cup and not Cole Palmer the second half of the season last year, and some of the new guys flourish in the way that I know they can, I think we're going to do well. But we aren't the only team that's strengthened. So I think there's been quite a lot of good business throughout. I think you guys have done some good business, and I think you probably overpaid for Ekatike, but you've obviously got to cover for.
I think we paid per inch because he's about 6'5".
Yeah. But obviously some sort of tragedy kind of struck, and that we don't know how that's going to affect the team this year. Liverpool, I think, on paper look like they could repeat, but I think Man City is stronger, Chelsea is stronger. City will probably push you more than they did last year. I think it's going to be an exciting league, though. Will Man United be even worse? Who could say?
Now, Shay, I caveat this with the fact that I don't get to pay any attention to anything outside of what I have to do for work, with the amount of hours I have to work every day and week. But I haven't seen a huge amount of like hullabaloo over Villa transfer wise. What are you thinking? Is it being silently done, and it's not just being announced from the rooftops, or are you actually disappointed with what's been done so far on the transfer market for Villa?
I would definitely say a little bit disappointed. So I did we got to talk to our new CEO. He actually came to Nashville for the meetup when we played Nashville a couple weeks ago. And it was kind of funny. He was like, I'm actually surprised everybody kept their cool and didn't, give me any pressure of not our signings and stuff. I was like, look, we're the fans in the US. Like, we don't get to see it. This is a big deal for us. But I think frustration overall, but kind of like how Sully said, we don't have the money to spend in the sense of we can't, because UEFA and the FA are literally sitting there watching us on every move that we make. When we announced that signing, when we signed that left winger a couple of weeks ago, everybody was shocked. It was like, we had $35 million. We just spent it. Where did this come from? Like Serzi said, I hate it, but we're about to probably sell Jacob Ramsey, who is a homegrown player from the Birmingham area. He grew up a Villa fan, but it's $40 million profit that we have to sell. It's unfortunate because we're in a predicament of where we can't go out and spend. And I feel like missing on the Champions League definitely did hurt us, which the players were all complaining over the summer. Some of them were kind of stalling on the contracts, but I was like, at the end of the day, you are the people that were playing on the pitch. The club had nothing to do with that, truly. You're the one that failed yourselves. You can't blame the club for that when it was your own fault. But we re-signed Boubacar Kamara, which was big. We've gotten a bunch of other new contracts re-signed. So I think internally we've done well because everybody has taken pay cuts. I think that was the biggest issue. Luka Dean took a huge pay cut. Tyrone Mings took a big pay cut. I think Yuri Telemans and John McGinn are about to. So the club is clearly, or the players have bought into it. They know what we need to do. And I feel like next year, or either in maybe January window, we're going to have money and it'll open up. I just don't want to get stuck in this cycle again of we make it until January, we see what we're missing, and then get 2 high-profile loanees for a lot of money. I don't think that's very stable and it's going to work out. And then on the point of selling Jacob, there's rumors of us going to buy Asensio for $20 million when he's on a free next year. Like, if anything, go get him on loan again, pay his loan wages, and just have him sign a free contract. I think paying $20 million for him is stupidity, and that is a legit waste of money.
Let me ask you this though, with that kind of financial restraint put on it, do you think it might actually be a minor blessing in disguise that you're not in the Champions League? It's because that puts a strain on your resources then, and if you have players start breaking down the intensity of the Champions League, especially with that new format, Liverpool coasted all the way through that and then went out in the next round to PSG, but it clearly you could see in the games that it was having a bit of an impact because every game meant something. And there's no dead rubbers in the Champions League like there used to be. Your last 2 group games if you were doing well. But do you think it might be a blessing in disguise in that sense that you can plan a little bit better?
Yes and no. I mean, I think we did really well last year, surprisingly. I mean, we took PSG to the death. And they outblew it. So the team proved that they can do it. The only issue, like I said, it was the depth, which I talked about last year. These players weren't used to it when we were in the Conference League. That's why we didn't do well. The very next year we played Champions League, we literally made it to the quarters, which I never thought I would see the day that would happen. And then taking PSG, they whooped us the first game in like the first 50 minutes of the second match. And then we came out and looked like we were about to beat them. But then, like I said, it's just the depth missing out because we probably did miss out on some of the players that Emery wanted to sign because we didn't have the money. I think missing out on the Champions League, you missed almost like 40, 50 million extra pounds on top of that just for making that spot. I think that's what Newcastle probably made. But Newcastle's in the same boat as us. They can't spend the money because the league is sitting there looking at us. Because they know we have the cash, but they don't want us to spend it is the issue.
Shay, you know how there was all the Super League talk a few years ago? You want to form like a mediocre league? That's where our teams can play. Like, I'm so sick of this.
Just ask Chelsea for some money. They got a fair bit out of that.
We pulled the Chelsea. We sold the women's team to ourselves. For 50 million.
Sell your training ground and the women's team to yourself.
We sold it to ourselves.
It is quite odd, the Premier League rules versus UEFA rules. Chelsea, we got our hands slapped by UEFA, but what we did was completely fine by the Premier League. You would think if it's a handball, it's a handball. If it's offside, it's offside. It's not different for different leagues. Seems odd.
Whatever you guys got in trouble for UEFA, we got in trouble for the same thing because they're going to scrutinize any transfer that we do between each other from now on. I was like, why does that truly matter? For selling to another team? I think just because when we sold Kellyman to y'all last year for 20 million, they're like, oh, you shouldn't do that. But he was starting to play at 18 years old. He had high potential. Why shouldn't we sell him for $20 million?
I think they thought that we bought Kellerman from you for probably 8 million more than he was worth.
Yeah.
And then you bought what's his name for probably 10 million more than he was worth. Both of which are pure profit transactions that benefit both teams.
Well, I think we paid more for Matson, but he's going to be a starting left back this year. So
I think he's great.
I think he's a great player.
He's exciting, yeah.
So let us now put the transfer talk away because number one, we could talk about it forever, and number two, there'll be about 5 million moves between now and the end of the show by the sounds of things on BBC.
Hopefully Fulham have one. They've bought no one.
We were right there with them until last week, so it was rough.
I mean, even Everton are making good moves. It looks like this year, and Jack Grealish.
Yeah.
Good moves and Jack Grealish. I'm sure he'll change his mind halfway through and go somewhere else. Political joke there from Mackie. Right, so let's look at the questions again. So we'll go in the topic by topic in the round. So you're going to tell me your predicted for this one Premier League top 5. You can put it in order if you think you can name an order of who finishes 4th, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, etc. Let's start with Sully. What's your reckoning from what we've seen so far, and you can take into account potential business and everything. But what do you reckon your top 5 is going to be? And if you have an order, feel free to put that in order.
Okay, I'm going to go in order. I'm going Liverpool 1. I think you guys are going to win it again. I'm going to pick Chelsea 2.
Sorry, that's the end of the show. Thanks, folks.
Yeah. I hate it. I hate it here. So Liverpool 1, Chelsea 2. I'm going to go City 3. I'm going to go Arsenal 4, and I'm going to go Man U 5. And I hate every second of it, and I'm going to watch every second of it.
Let me ask you this: why are you confident about Arsenal? Because I'd be of the opposite. I think the Arteta the Arteta mystique has to fall apart at some point because I think it's a castle made of sand essentially.
See, I got him in 4th. That's a drop for them where they've been the last few seasons. But I can't pronounce his name. The guy they got from Portugal. Gyökeres. I am a believer. I am a believer in him. I think he is going to be a problem. I think he is going to score a ton of goals. But like you said, I think the wheels are going to come off of this Arsenal team. I think it's going to be Arsenal losing to Arsenal more often than not. While, say it one more time for me, Gierkes.
I don't know. See, that's how he's going to get his goals. That's how he's going. That's how he's going to get his goals. The two defenders who are going, "Hey, you, Mark, yeah, got Joe." Scored again.
I think he is
celebration. Put the mask on.
Yes, I think he is going to statistically have a phenomenal season. I think Arsenal is not going to have a phenomenal season, though.
That works for me. Shay, what's your top 5, and do you have an order for them?
I would say order is going to be tough between 1 and 2. I think City and Liverpool will definitely be in the battle again. Like how JW said, both of y'all have equally strengthened. I think you will pull it out because the players that you bought are just better in the sense of I feel like they're going to fit into that team. City, I don't know. I mean, they've strengthened, but they lost Rodri again for the first half of the month. So we clearly saw that they cannot do it without him. So I think they'll struggle in the beginning. But that's not something to take lightly because last time when you thought you were going to win the league, they came back and absolutely dominated and ended up. Third, I will go Chelsea. I think they'll push for the second. I think it'll just be a fight between the top 2, 3 again. Fourth, I will say Arsenal. Same with Sully. They're gonna Arsenal it up. They did finally get the striker they've been wanting for the last 20 years. I feel like after Van Persie left. And then fifth, either Spurs, if they gel together, because Thomas Frank is a great coach. I know it's a little dicey, but I think they finally got a manager that actually knows what he's doing. Don't tell Jake that. I'm sure he'll see it. And then 6 will be United. They'll make a comeback.
Shay, I want the odds on that. I want the odds on that Tottenham bet. That is a Tonali pick.
That's a Tonali pick. They've made a lot of money. And they did
apparently look good against PSG this evening.
They did. They still lost.
Yeah, Thomas Frank didn't want to win a trophy because the last manager that did got fired.
He got fired, so he's waiting. He's got to wait till the season.
He looked at 2-0 up. He looked up in the stands and saw Levy going, concede. Jay, what's your top 5?
I think top 3 is going to be close, but it'll be Liverpool, City, Chelsea. I think Arsenal 4, Man United 5. I think Gyökeres, I don't see too much of him, to be honest, but this is a pretty ignorant comment. I think he's probably going to be a Lacazette standard forward versus kind of what they're really looking for. I don't think he's going to be a Van Persie. But, yeah.
I definitely don't think it'll be Van Persie, but I think he'll be a little bit better than Lacazette. And then Aubameyang-esque in the very beginning, and then he may turn into a bombing after.
But even still, when we say that, like Van Persie, it's just that Arsenal have lacked a figurehead striker, really, isn't it? We're not really talking quality here because we don't know yet, but they just have lacked a figurehead. Like, much the same in the way, like, Isak is for Newcastle, like somebody who you can put the ball up to and something is going to happen, or the flip side of it, give the ball up to Darwin Núñez and now it's going to be in the stands within 10 seconds. But they haven't had that. They haven't had a defining striker. And it's just really a question of whether he'll have the quality for the Premier League, really, isn't it, when it comes down to it?
I think he will. I mean, his size is going to be a difference maker for him. He's not a small individual. I think he is going to give some center backs a real problem. And I think he's going to bring some physicality to that Arsenal team that they have sorely been missing, in the sense of, like, you have, what's his face? Havertz. Yeah. A guy like Havertz, who's just a dirty player. Gyökeres is much more physical. He is a physical, but like upright, shoulder-to-shoulder contact type of player. I think it's going to be good statistically for him.
And then at some point, somebody's going to have a video where he pronounces his name for everybody. We'll all get it wrong still.
Yeah.
I think we seem to have buried the lead, but a lot of us are saying Man United are going to be kind of up their European places. That's quite a change, right?
I'm not giving my picks because we're going to do this for the Liverpool one, but I don't think United are going to be that hot this season either. Okay. I don't see the moves they've made being defining ones. I think they're in for a shock. I think they're in for a shock.
I'll just give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe they'll pull it off. We'll finish 6th. I doubt it. I'm just saying there's a lot of miles on this team's leg, so I just don't see us pushing for that again. Unless they took a bunch of steroids over the summer and all come out yoked.
Well, I mean, who did they buy again? They bought. I mean, they did make some good purchases.
Cunha and Mbumo and Sesko.
Sesko.
Yeah, they did get Sesko.
Yeah, Sesko's still. Yeah, Sesko's probably the difference maker. Buma though, my feeling on him is that he's a systems player. Like, he worked great because Thomas Frank had a system that suited him, but we don't know what. We know what Ruben Amorim's formation is, but have we ever actually seen a system for Man United during his time there? We know he plays 3 at the back and 4 in midfield and 2 and a 1 up front, but I've never seen like a way of play. At least with Ten Hag, you knew what the way of playing was. It just was crap.
I think we're gonna see. Maguire upfield a lot more this season. I think that is going to be the real difference maker.
They really didn't strengthen their defense. So, like you said, like giving them 5th is high praises because the defense still hasn't been fixed, and they still have Onana as their goalkeeper. So,
and Luke Shaw.
Luke Shaw is still eating Chinese food.
2 morsels of food that what's his name, Radcliffe or whatever his name is, allows them to have. So let's go back to the next topic. Then is. Who's going to be your biggest surprise, Sully, in the league this season, given that we have three promoted teams that are sort of ex-Liverpool stalwarts of a type coming back up, including one. I meant to say this earlier, actually. I have a feeling I'm the only one of us four that actually saw Villa win their European Cup. I think I'm right. I'm the oldest one here, aren't I? I
wasn't born yet.
Watched it on BBC One. I remember it well. Back in the days when it was on Wednesday nights. So yeah, Sully, who do you think going into it? There's always one surprise package team. That a Brighton or somebody like that, a Bournemouth that pushes way higher than you expect them to. Never quite makes it there, but. They're nonetheless a stone in everybody's shoe that they play. Who do you think it's going to be?
There are 3 that I want to pick, but I don't want to hog the hot takes here. So I am gonna say, oh man.
I mean, you can name all 3. Right?
No, I'm not going to. I'll save some meat on that bone. I'm gonna go. I think Everton possibly could be the surprise. I think. They are going to. I don't know if they're going to challenge for a European spot, but I think that is going to be a team nobody wants to play. I think that is a team that has potential. I kind of like the Grealish signing for them. I kind of like that.
It's a great Everton signing, isn't it? It's not a great Jack Grealish signing, but it's a very good Everton signing.
And I don't mind that. Is the new stadium opening this year or did it open last year?
It's already open.
Yeah. See, that's Yeah, I think Everton is going to be sneaky. I'm going to say it right now, and I know this might sound, blasphemous, but the way this whole summer has gone for Newcastle, I'm worried about Sunderland. We played them in the FA Cup a couple years ago, beat them, but that was the first time we had played in like 5 or 6 seasons, and the last few seasons they were in the Premier League. They gave us hell. I think we had a losing record with them against them in the last 3 Prem seasons they were up. They're giving me fits. Ryan O'Nien, yes, he plays for the team that I hate, but I really like that guy. I like the way he plays. I think he is very entertaining. But yeah, Everton, I think will be the surprise. I'm scared of Sunderland.
I mean, to be fair, like whatever we can joke about Moyes' time at Manchester United, that was just a barrel of craziness regardless after Ferguson left there. It doesn't really matter who went there. But he is a good manager for that kind of a club, really, isn't he? He's a solid manager. He makes his teams hard to beat, and if he gets a bit of talent up front, he can push that team as high as possible. I mean, he's got a European trophy.
And the city's behind him. The city, Everton fans love Moyes, I would say. Okay, sorry,
Half the city.
Not the city of Liverpool. The neighborhood surrounding the former Goodison Park. How about that?
Which is also the Liverpool fan now,
Yeah.
but they are. He's not just a club legend. He's one of those managers that they've rarely had outside of like Howard Kendall or Joe Royle, who got Everton Football Club. Like a lot of the other managers didn't get Everton, so there is a nice bond there. He'll be given a lot of time by them. Jay, what is your surprise? What do you predict will be the team that shocks everybody?
You were just listing Everton managers. I'd say a surprise was just me remembering that Ancelotti was one of their managers in the recent past. I was like, what? That was a surprise. I can see the Everton being really good or really bad, and I struggle to see them being in between. But yeah, they could regain their 7th place for sure. I think it's not really a surprise, but it kind of is because they keep selling all their players. But Brighton, I think, will be up there again, and also Leeds. I think the Premier League is better when Leeds are there, and I think Leeds will stay up. And I think based on the way the teams have come up and gone straight back down, I think if they stay up, that is a surprise. So,
isn't Daniel Farke the manager at Leeds still?
I think he is, yeah.
So my question then in that case is, given that there was speculation that he'd have been sacked regardless of getting Leeds into the Premier League, do you think that maybe the behind the scenes shenanigans might affect Leeds? Because I think you're right. A top division in England that has Leeds is always a good top division. They're a good solid bunch of supporters. They've got history behind them.
Did Longstaff go there, Sully?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, good player, good Premier League player. That's a good signing.
He's a glue guy. He's somebody any team would take in their locker room just to have a guy like that in the locker room, which kills me.
I think that'd be a good shout, Leeds, for surprise.
Brian Scalabrine, back in the day.
J-Dub, MVP, the White Mamba. Let's go.
Shay, what do you think is going to be your big surprise?
I mean, they all said the Everton one. I just think because Moyes is back and stabilize them literally the second half of the season. He said earlier he did what he was supposed to do. Bringing in Jack, maybe he'll resurrect his career. I doubt it. He's a full-on drunk at this point, but it is what it is. The surprise, I mean, Leeds, if they do stay up, it'll be good. But we know Daniel Farke, he did it with Norwich every year. So like he's the epitome of the yo-yo. So if he can finally prove it, I think that would be a big time.
Now, what do we think of Fulham? Because we have our
I wanted to, but they didn't sign anybody, and I mean,
that's madness. But because they were doing so well last year,
they may stay in the top 10.
What do we think of Fulham? I don't think about Fulham.
You don't think if they're lovely cottage grounds with their porta cabin dressing rooms. I still love that ground. I think it's a great ground. So let's go back to the topic. So that's the biggest surprise. Who's going to be the biggest flop? Who's going to be the team that promises the most and delivers the least? Sully, what do you think?
Fucking Newcastle. Move on.
I mean, that's a fair assessment. If you were not allowed to pick your own club, who else do you think?
Oh God. Yeah. Shay, as much as I want to go Spurs, I think Arsenal. I think Arsenal is going to be a big disappointment. I think they are going to finally get into the full snowball backslide that they have slowly entered these last couple seasons. I think Arsenal is going to be the biggest flop.
Shay, what do you think?
I'm going to go Arsenal for sure. And then I know I said Spurs 5th, but I mean, they may end up still Spurs in it. So they'll be the 2.
Now, what about Forest? What do you guys think?
I guess
because they kind of start falling off the rails a bit. Sorry, I should have gone to you first, Jay. I just wanted to get Forest out. Right, but go ahead, tell us why do you think Forest, Jay?
I think they may struggle a little bit just because they lost a couple of their main players and then they didn't really buy anybody, and just I feel like the heat that they had at the end of the season is probably gonna burn down a little bit. So they may struggle in the very beginning.
JW, what could convince you that Spurs is the? I mean, do you think there's going to be any residual fallout from the ownership, the owner thing with Nuno, or was that just a storm in a teacup that we all liked to?
I think it was a storm in a teacup, but I think they were fighting above their weight the majority of last season. I think they kind of ran out of steam and haven't really added anyone. So I don't think they'll get relegated, but I think they'll probably finish around mid-table, perhaps bottom half. This is going to be an unpopular decision or comment here, especially since I said that they would win the league. But I think there's an argument for Liverpool as well. I think Liverpool finishing outside of the top two would be seen as a flop. And last season, same team. This season, some new blood in there. And you just don't know, like the Diego Jota, like him passing away, how much of an impact that really is going to have on the players. That could be incredibly galvanizing, but it could just be really, really difficult as well for everyone involved, players and club backroom staff as well. So I think there's a chance that I don't think Liverpool are going to finish 9th, but like if Liverpool finish 3rd or 4th, still make Champions League, but pull an Arsenal, is that considered a flop? I'd argue yes.
I mean, you could be right, but let me throw this one at you. Do you think that the tragic passing of Diogo Jota will affect the team as much, given how many new players are going to be in it who didn't know him?
I think that's a good point, but I think while there's a lot of new players, you still got your Salahs, your core that are there, your Alissons. It may not have an impact at all, but I think it's a thing, and we'll have to wait. Time will tell. And it would be a real, like, let's say it does impact everyone, like you would forgive them for that.
Yeah. Let me. Did we get to everybody for the flops?
Hey, Maka, can I jump in there real quick?
No. Give us Isak and I'll let you.
Well, hey, it seems like I'm already handcuffed. Like that's gonna happen no matter what. God, but like to JW, what you were saying, if Liverpool flops and how the passing of Jota is gonna affect the rest of the team, I think it could be sort of split. I think it could hurt these core players. It could be very, very difficult for them, especially to start the season. But I think depending on what Liverpool does game one or for their first home game, I think it could be really inspiring for a lot of these new guys to be like, wow, this is a club that cares about its players. This is a club that rallies around one of its own. So I think it'll be very interesting to see how this plays out. I think it could start slow for some of these older guys, but I think the newer guys could see this as we're in the right spot. This city's gonna take care of us.
I mean, I think we had a chat about that on one of the shows about like if Nunes left to another European team like Napoli, as was speculated, and came back to play Liverpool. We don't mind seeing him go. He wasn't the best forward ever, but he ran his heart out in every game. He just wasn't very good when he got the ball at the end of it. But that's what most fans love that. They love to see players that'll try. And that would be a galvanizing thing. But if we end up playing Real Madrid and Trent Alexander-Arnold plays against us, it's going to be a completely different atmosphere.
It's going to be a brutal
These
game.
guys hate you. You better not make any mistakes. Where's the agent? I'm only here for a year. So let's go. We got everybody for a flop, so I don't want to leave anybody out on that. Relegation, the bottom three. It seems like we're not automatically putting the promotion teams down into the basement. Shaylin, who do you think are going to be the surprise at this? It sounds like the surprise 3 relegation spots for you.
I like what Ryan just put. I think Brentford just losing the coach and their main goal scorer is going to hurt them a lot. I'm going to say Bournemouth as well. I mean, I know they made a bunch of money, but they did not replace any of these players they just sold. They made a lot of cash, but they were pretty instrumental of them staying and doing really well. So I see Brentford, Bournemouth, and then of the new teams, Maybe Sunderland. I don't know. They've haven't been up here for so long. I think they'll surprise. They'll definitely do better than Luton Town did, but I don't see them staying up the whole time.
JW, what do you think?
I think Wolves are not going to be having a good time. I think what everyone said about Brentford, very true. I kind of think they'll be okay, but they certainly need to. They need to get off to a good start, and I don't think anyone knows if Keith Andrews is going to be a good manager or not. I also think Sunderland have spent arguably very well, but it's also difficult to integrate that many new players into a team. Chelsea found that. I think other teams have found that as well. I think they'll struggle at least to begin with, and Burnley as well. Burnley, acquired some of the Chelsea castaways. It's just going to be very difficult for a lot of these teams. Like last season, it was quite easy to be bad, but the fourth worst and kind of not really be in danger of relegation. Man United and Tottenham found that. But this time out, I think there will be more teams. There will be no team that is by far and away the worst. I think it'll be a bit closer, and there might well be some jeopardy come the end of the season, last few games, because we didn't really have that last year.
I mean, you have to feel for. I certainly feel for Caoimhín Kelleher to go into Brentford to finally get his first team football. The manager and half the team gets sold and go elsewhere. That guy's going to be the best keeper in the world at the end of next season. That's my prediction, because he's going to face so many shots.
Yeah. Well, that's why I said Bournemouth, though, just because both their starting center backs both left to two big teams in Europe, so they did not replace them.
And they're left back.
It's going to be tough. That back four is going to be very leaky.
Do you think? I mean, this is more of a Liverpool question, but we sold Jared Kwanzaa to Dortmund, I think, or Leverkusen. I can't remember which one.
Leverkusen.
If he'd have waited a little bit more, that would have been an ideal signing for someone like Bournemouth, really, wouldn't it? Like a cheap young English player to come in and do a job, who has Premier League experience and trophy winning experience at that young age as well. And it's the same, like it's the flip side of the Isak situation, you know what I mean? Like the contract thing and the transfers it's so finely balanced sometimes. Sully's probably hoping that Liverpool are in the relegation zone of Isak. There you go, that's what happens, that's what you get. Sully, you're next up, aren't you, for the relegation? What do you think, apart from Liverpool, are the three that you're going to
No, we just send down Liverpool sacrificially. That's all. That's what happens. Just burn them at the stake. I think Wolves are not going to be having a good. I'm going to actually hit you with I think a 6-team possible relegation battle. Like JW said, I don't think there's going to be a runaway worst team. I think it's going to be a very nice competitive bottom of the table. I am going to say Wolves. I'm going to say Sunderland, even though I think Sunderland takes one from Newcastle, like just the way things are going for us. I could see Brentford, so that's 3. I think West Ham could be in that as well. That's 4. I think possibly outside chance. I think Brentford, unfortunately. I think Brentford. So that'll be my 5th. And here is going to be, I guess, my dark horse surprise. I think Forest. Forest could be in the relegation battle. I think if stuff behind the scenes with the owner gets bad enough, I think that could demoralize this team. I think Forest could be in that 6th, that bottom 6 spot.
See, I think that the 3 Bs, I think Burnley have a chance, because I have a feeling Scott Parker's tactics that got him into the Premier League is championship tactics that are designed to get, like Mick McCarthy used to do, get teams up into the Premier League, but didn't have the subtlety to keep them up there. So for me, it'd be like Burnley, Brentford, Bournemouth, and then Wolves, Forest, and West Ham. Like I think those 6 would be in danger.
See, I don't think the Premier League is going to let Burnley go down. I think the Premier League secretly smells the JJ Watt rub on Burnley, and I see that. I think they could see that as a possible commercial success, keeping Burnley up with him as a partial owner.
You've lost me there, Hugh.
Oh, JJ Watt.
What about Michael B. Jordan is part of the ownership
Bournemouth.
group of Bournemouth?
Oh, as well?
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Because we got our TV stars over here. The US
Yeah,
Olympics.
seriously, this is going to be? Do you know how cable television just became reality shows after a few years? It's Netflix is just going to be all like celebrities owning soccer clubs.
I mean, they're trying to do it with Birmingham right now with Tom Brady, and I just love it because he's so ignorant, and it's funny because they were driving by Villa Park in the show, and he's like, "Who's that?" They're like, "That's Aston Villa." He's like, "Oh, is they good?" They're like, "Yeah," and I was like, "Yeah, right here, Brady."
But yeah, I could see like a Wrexham light with Burnley in the Premier League and JJ Watt having an ownership stake.
Well, we'll have to see how that conspiracy theory will work out. Let's go top scorer now. We know who Sully hopes it isn't, but JW, who do you think will be the top scorer? You can even go for like top three, like a 3 players who can compete for it.
3 pairs that will compete for it will be Haaland, Gyökeres, and Pedro.
Not Salah.
No, I think he'll be up there. I think his total may get eaten into. I think he'll probably still get 10, 15, but you've got a few more attacking options, or almost less attacking options, but more permanent attacking options that are going to eat into his tally. But he'll get a few.
You almost think that was the plan, almost, wasn't it? Like they signed Salah for the extra 2 years, Liverpool, and knowing full well he's going to have a dip at some point. So
I still think he'll be good. I still think he'd be good, and he'll bag a bunch. I think he'll bag goals plus assists. He'll be way up there.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Pedro, if he keeps up his form from preseason, I think he'll have a load of chances. Chelsea had the most chances last season. We just had our version of Darwin Núñez to put them in the back of the net. If we have someone even remotely competent, like kind of you're saying for Liverpool, we'll be in far better shape.
Liam Delap.
Yeah.
Shayden, who do you think the top scorer or the 3 that will compete for it?
I will definitely say Haaland because I think he's going to come back full force, and I think City missed him. So when he's fully healthy, I will say Ollie because it is a World Cup year, and he has to prove that he needs to make the England squad. So I feel like he will be very influential for us. And I mean, he's been the top English scorer for the last 3 years. People just forget about it because he's has no emotion. He's just there. Third, that's a tough one. I still think, like I said, I could say Salah just because at the end of the day he is y'all's talisman. But with bringing in a new striker, I think he won't be as much. So I'll still have him at third. I think he'll still somehow pull it off.
Sully, apart from he who shall not be named, when he goes to Liverpool and scores 30 goals for us.
God, give me a break. Give me a break. I think I don't have any thoughts anymore. I think Haaland probably wins it. I think Haaland has an outstanding season. Man, I don't want to pick anybody. Haaland, I'm gonna say I think Mbeumo is going to be really interesting at United. I think he could get a fair amount of goals. And Gyökeres, I think that rounds out your top 3. I could see that in a perfect world, Harvey Barnes or Anthony Gordon cracks into that top 3, but we don't live in a perfect world. We live in this one. So
yeah, you live in the world where Harvey Barnes is on it. He wouldn't even be the top scorer in a 5-a-side tournament.
Yeah. Yep.
And I'm not saying that to be mean. I watched a lot of him at Leicester when Brendan Rodgers was there. Like he's a very good player, but he was the Darwin Núñez of attacking midfielders and wingers.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Always got into great positions and then whiffed it. Tony in the studio says egg cheesecake in Holland. And then AJ Valdez, same thought as me, Isak for top scorer. Did we get everybody's picks there? Want to make sure we don't leave anybody out. Now, this is the bit you want to talk about, the one that you've been waiting for, before we just have a quick look at the weekend's games. JW, your team's fortunes. Now, outside of any predictions we made in terms of the league, you feel free to change where you think Chelsea might end up. But in terms of the overall season, cups, Europe and all that, where number one, where do you think Chelsea will get, and what would you be happy with at the end of the season? I mean, we will all be happy winning the league, but like kind of realistically to what your potential is. And Chelsea's a lot of potential.
Yeah, would be happy with another trophy. I don't think we'll win the league. I think we certainly will have a shot at one of the league cups. I think we will probably get to the final of at least one of them. And I'd like to think we'll get to quarterfinals or better of the Champions League. We're quite a cup team. And we have the deepest squad. So I think we're set up for that. I think we'll win. I don't think we'll win the Champions League, but I think we will certainly bag a trophy. And the further we get into the cups gives us the best opportunity to ground in some of these newer players, especially in the early stages. So I'd love to see someone like Esteval get a cup run. It's not quite as intense in like early stages of the Champions League when we got the ball a lot. So yeah, I think it's going to be a really good season. I don't think we're too early on to win the league, but if we can establish Esteval as a kind of mainstay, it's going to be quite an exciting few years. I don't think he's quite going to be Eden Hazard, but he might get close. And that was really fun watching Eden Hazard week after week.
Let me ask you this. Would you be disappointed majorly if you made a lot of progress in the areas you want to? Let's say maybe you got to the semi-final of the Champions League, but came out this season with no trophies. Would you be happy that there was progress made and you could see a future for the next season that's all going to come together? Or would you go, what the hell, lads? Come on.
I mean, I don't think I wouldn't want to judge a season good or bad based on we lost the final of of FA Cup against Liverpool, City, someone like that. If we've overall had a decent season, I think progressing to the latter stages of the Champions League is going to be really important, especially for a team like Chelsea. To be honest, I'd love it if we got a fucking sponsor. That would be great. Progress for the season, but yeah, I think I would prefer a deep Champions League run over a trophy. After all, I'm kind of still counting the Club World Cup as a trophy for this season, since it was kind of an abridged year. But ultimately, a deep run is more preferable to winning the Carabao Cup.
Shay, what do you think is what's your overall prediction for Aston Villa, and what would your desires be that you would be happy with?
I obviously want to shoot for 5th or 6th again, but just seeing as we did not bring in anybody over the summer except for one player, I think it's going to be a tough season unless everybody stays fully healthy. But that's a huge risk to go into the season again with 3 center backs, Matty Cash as a right back for the entire effing season again, and only Ollie Watkins is our true striker. Our midfield is absolutely loaded, but they can't play striker and center back. But Emery will probably try to play Onana back at center back, just for shits and gigs. So I'm hoping 6, but we are playing in the Europa League, which is Emery's tournament. The man has won it with almost every team he has been with. So I hope we can actually finally win it. We should be the favorites going into this. And the team has all the experience now of making the quarters of the Champions League, playing in the Conference League. So I feel like they are more than prepared for it. So I'm at least hoping that we could go far in. Domestic cup-wise, knowing our luck, we'll probably get stuck with Liverpool United first round, get knocked out like we do every other year. So I don't have us winning anything in the domestic cup game.
Sonny.
Do I have to?
Yes. Would you? And I mean, we will go through the thing that the other two lads went to, your predictions, and then what you'd be happy with. But would you be more confident if the upper management situation was sorted, even if the Isak thing was still the way it was? But would you be more confident about things if, you know, you had a functioning upper management?
Yes, because I think we would have then sold Isak and used that money to bring in more players more aggressively.
Nicholas Jackson.
I saw that today, and I nearly threw up in my classroom during fourth hour. I was just like, you got to be kidding me! Like like everything we are doing right now screams desperation. It screams it. It's like, oh, you didn't get this player. Oh, well, here we're gonna throw 35 million at this guy, and he's just as good. It's like, it's like, Mom, can we go get Isak? Don't worry, honey, we have Isak at home. And this is what we're looking at. Like, it is ridiculous what's going on with this transfer window. And I want to say, like, deep in my heart, I want to say we're going to get these management things figured out and we're going to be aggressive in the winter transfer window, but we're not. I know how this goes. We're going to buy Andy Carroll and then sell him again in January. Like, that's how this thing goes. And I thought Newcastle finally was turning it around, but I'm a Chicago Bears fan. Same old Bears. Same old Newcastle.
I mean, I forgot you guys signed Alonga for $50 million. You know, you're about to sign Jacob Ramsey for another 40. So y'all spend money.
Yeah, but like, who is he gonna give assists to? That's his thing. He's a playmaker, and our one striker at this point wants to fuck off. Like,
is Dan Burns still on the team? Throw his 6'7" ass up front.
Like,
there you go.
Seriously, because he can't run anymore. Like, he's like the Tin Man out there. Like, we need the oil can.
Oh,
God.
I am actually surprised there wasn't some sort of part exchange with like Nunez plus 50 million or something for
I think if they would have done that, they would have probably accepted that offer.
And JW, I honestly think we were kind of like, well, we were kind of cocky. We thought we were going to be in the running for Ekitike, for Mbumo, for all these players that could have been solid replacements for Isak. But we got cocky. We believed our own hype, and we didn't have a stable enough foundation in our management in order to get something like that done. And as Shay said at the beginning, they're watching every transfer. Like, a team like Newcastle isn't supposed to be doing this. Newcastle could have been the new, like, we should have been like early City and signed a player like Robinho and just splashed a ton of cash. And we bought basically a whole new team, but that team is now aged out about 5 years. That team is not the same level of fitness that you bought them for. So we're screwed. We're so fucked.
So is that your prediction for the season? We're just screwed.
Yeah. We're I would be ecstatic with 10th, because what I am concerned about is we're gonna play Champions League. We don't have the team for Champions League. Not even close. We don't even have. Yeah, we should drop out now. Shay, if you want our spot, I am personally offering you Newcastle's spot because we fell ass backwards into it at the end of the season. It's going to deplete our roster. We're going to have fitness issues going all the time. I have a bad feeling. I don't think Eddie's pride gets in the way a ton, but I think it could this year. I think he's going to have the issue of trying to win another cup and build off the Carabao Cup success, but he just doesn't have the people in the room to do that. So I could see us anywhere from 10 to 13th. I think we are going to be bad.
I think as well, just kind of, I remember Amanda Stavely getting a lot of stick when she was there, but it seems like she actually was doing a job.
Yes.
And she deserves, I think she deserves a few apologies. Let's go to the games for the weekend, but we don't want to be here. We could be here all night. I'd happily talk to you guys all night, but I have work in the morning. So Chelsea Crystal Palace, JW. Now I would have put Crystal Palace as one of my surprises for the season because they look solid and they looked comfortable in the Community Shield, which, you know, it's nice that they won it. And it's easy for me to say as a Liverpool fan, you know, because Liverpool have won a lot of trophies in their history and Palace haven't won a lot. But it's still the Community Shield. It's still the one thing Moyes won until he got a European trophy. It's not that big a deal, but they looked good. Are you worried at all about this Crystal Palace team, or do you think Chelsea have enough for them?
They did look good. I was rooting them on this past week, hoping that it would get to their heads ahead of our opener. I think at home we should have more than enough to combat them. I think also I thought there might be some rumblings with Arsenal and Eze. It seems like that isn't happening. I think Crystal Palace will be a surprise. They look pretty good, and if they can continue that, they obviously won the FA Cup, now the Community Shield. Like, well done, Palace. If they can keep that whole team together, I think they could be challenging for European places this year as well. I think we will win 3-1.
Awesome stuff. Now, Sully and Shay playing each other, and we just had Sully ranting for the entire hour, and I'm pretty sure you could rant for another 2 hours after we go off air about it. But we'll go with you, Shay, first, because you're the least traumatized at this point in time. How do you think that game will go? It's a home game for Villa. Important to get off to a good start. You know, you don't win the league in the first game, or whatever your position is that you're finishing. It doesn't happen from the first game. But a bad start can trip you up for at least up to December. So what do you think this game is going to go like?
I think it's going to be dicey. Like Sully said, you know, his team's in turmoil right now in a sense. Our team is basically the same. I wouldn't be surprised if a 0-0 draw, because we've literally beat up on each other the last couple of games. So it's literally it's a flip of a coin, legitimately. We should have the better chance because the team is stable and we have a striker like Sully. So we don't know who's going to be playing up top. So, you know, Pau Torres and Mings could be facing Harvey Barnes up top. And, you know, like, here it is. We should be good. Obviously, the Villa fan of me is going to say 2-0. But realistically, I could see a 0-0 draw. Just both teams just going to battle it out. At a wonderful 6:30 in the morning Central Time, by the way. So love that.
That's because you're in a weird time zone, isn't it?
Yeah.
You should get a proper time zone like we have in the East Coast. Sully, I want you to give what you think the score is going to be, but here's my real question: do you think Eddie Howe looks at it and goes, crap, we have to play Isak anyway"?
No, I think Eddie stands firm. I think Eddie's pissed. I think he is mad. I would have looked.
Are you sure Eddie's mad or Tyndall's mad?
Well, see, that's what I was going to say. I think Tyndall is going to look lost. I think he's going to be like, "Wait, I'm the bad cop, Eddie.
Yeah.
Eddie, what do I do here now? Like, what is my job?" I think it's going to be 1-0 to Villa. I think Ollie Watkins scores because, as Shay said, they have a striker. But I think it's going to be the one chance of the game Ollie Watkins scores on. I think the rest of the game, I think I said this last year and was very, very wrong, but I think it's going to look like a rugby match in the middle of the park where the ball barely moves. I think it's going to, the keepers are not going to have a lot to deal with. I think it's just going to be a bloodbath in the middle of the field, but Ollie Watkins breaks free on one, and we start the season on 0 points on our chase for 10th.
Let me just ask all three of you just very quickly. Is there any possible way that in the Man United Arsenal game, both of them can lose?
The world loses.
But that'll be an interesting one to see in terms of like progress over the season. I'll be looking forward to that one, and I actually have a day off for it. Yay!
Do you think United will give Arsenal trouble?
I think Arsenal will give Arsenal trouble. I think if I didn't realize Gyökeres was that tall. So I'm fully predicting they go back to their corner kick routines from the start of last season to try and get their goals. But I don't know. It's so hard to tell. I'm just convinced the style that the Emperor's New Clothes. You know, the curtain will come to reveal the Wizard of Oz to be an old man. Arteta's just two little old men in an overcoat. shouting tactical suggestions on the field. And United are United. I won't give them any credit, but we'll see what happens. I think Leeds Everton's probably the most exciting game for me at the weekend outside of Liverpool. But that's just me wanting Everton to lose everything. First of all, thank you so much for joining us for this, the boys. It's always a pleasure to work with you and to be able to talk and get your opinions. I do want to just put this up one more time. American Scouser TV gets nothing out of this. It's just a good cause, and there's a GoFundMe if you click on that QR code. It's not a magic eye picture for all of us that are over 45 years old. It's not a magic eye. Stop staring at your screen in funny angles. It's not a picture. It is a QR code, but it's a magnificent cause and will help a lot of people. There's a lot of memorabilia there. You just contribute to the GoFundMe. But needless to say, we're 1 day away, day and a half, whatever way, for the start of the Premier League. The real football, as I like to say, coming up to, is it European Championship year or World Cup year? I can never remember. World Cup year. There you go.
Well, hey,
it'll be hot.
Sun is gonna help the U.S. win the World
Cup. Sun's gonna make the U.S. I can't believe that lady said that.
That was insanity.
It was insanity because he'd have to do it illegally, and then they'd have to deport him before the first game to El Salvador. Then he helps.
In the U.S. of A, Pochettino, even though he's coaching, would probably still not know how to use him correctly. He's like, "Oh, here's a world-class player. What do I do with him?"
There you go. It's AFCON year as well.
I have to check. I gotta check the headlines. There was just there. I got an ESPN update this afternoon. Pulisic and Weah went after ex-Man U or ex-US players in like that Pulisic documentary or whatever. Apparently, they said some pretty harsh stuff. So we'll see what the blowback is for that.
It's always good to see the drama. Somebody's parents are going to
good thing the US qualified automatically is all I have to say.
Yes. Yes.
They would have made it.
Needless to say, folks, if you are, if you want to see more of this great content, first of all, the Thursday podcast will be on tomorrow night, where we'll have the Liverpool side of the predictions, and also make sure you are following us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, X, formerly known as Twitter, Blue Sky, and Uri Geller's Super Psychic Class 2025, if you're into that. Gentlemen, enjoy the rest of your evenings. Thank you so much for putting the time aside for this nonsense, but it was entertaining nonsense nonetheless. And thank you to everybody for commenting. Peace out. Here's some trap music that some idiot who's fat and has no hair made up. Have a good one.